Yesterday I started with 24, and what we did is we answered 1, 2 and 3. Now when I go to 3.4, they ask me, so remember financing, when they use the word financing, it's about how did you get capital. And your company capital will be the ordinary, it's the shareholders' equity, which is the capital and the retained, and the loans. This is financing. Okay. So now they say financing strategies and gearing. Now when I see gearing, I immediately think debt equity Rotki. I'm not even, I forgot something. I just, before I go on, I just want to make sure that you understand this which I'm saying to you. I'm trying to give you a pattern, right? But you will see sometimes they break out of the pattern and they do it differently. Now when you're in an exam, you will not know if they're going to mark the pattern or something else. So you cannot stress about that because it will kill you. Okay? So you keep to the patterns I give you, which is name, shame, comment. You keep to that pattern. Okay? Because that pattern will give you some marks. Sometimes not all of the marks, but some marks. And that's why I always want to refer back to the memo so that you can see if I followed my pattern, will it give me my answers? Okay, so now let's quickly look here. It's important with question 3 to study with your memo next to you, because then you start to see how the people who set up the papers are thinking. Okay, and sometimes you will learn something that me or Mr. Q couldn't teach you because we didn't know it. Remember, this is actually very specialized work that we are doing, and we are doing it very basic, right? But sometimes in the papers they will not make the memo basic, just so that, because they always when you ask them about it, they will say they have to do something difficult for those who get 100%. And you're all like, what? And let me tell you, there are really kids who get 100% for accounting. So that is why there will always be something you can't do. It's for those kids who can do everything. Okay. So what is the moral that I'm telling you now? Stick to the pattern. Okay. So you always go, first thing, you see financing and gearing, so you know immediately we're talking here capital and loans. And when I see the word gearing, I know definitely loans. So now they say the directors decided to buy new fixed assets in 24. Okay. If I go and look here at number C, can you see they bought 4.1 million? You can see that. Okay. Identify the two main sources. In other words, over 1 million. Okay? That were used to finance this purchase. So what they want you to do, what I think, is it makes sense to me to go see what is the difference here. So the difference here is 8.2 less 4.1. What is it? 4 point? No, it's 4 point something.
8.2 minus 4.1.
Yeah.
This is 4,055,000.
Okay. So now I want to see, they want to see if you can see if this is, how is that amount financed. So now let's quickly go look. So let's start with loan, because they say financing and gearing. So let's start with capital and loan. So if I look at the loan, how much did I borrow? So I will say increase in loan of how much? I had 9.4. Now I have 12.9. So it's 3.513. Okay? Increase in loan. Let's go to the capital. What happened to the increase in capital? Or you can say issuing of shares. And how much did we issue? What is that? How much is that? 2? Seven. Okay, read it from the start because you start in the middle and I don't know where.
9700.
So it's only 200. No, this is a million. Extra zero. Okay, now if I add this, you guys, this work is for me also difficult. So if you talk and boo, 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 like that, I struggle to concentrate. Because this is not something that comes natural to me either. Okay? So please help me. So if I add this, it gives me what? I have 6.4 million. Can you see it's more than the 4 point whatever, ne? So this is where my financing came from. Let's make sure that I'm not lying. They say, yes, shares issued. Can you see? The source gets a mark. So if I said shares, 1 tick, loan, 1 tick. And then the figures. The 2970, 1 tick, and the 3513, 1 tick. Can you see? All of us could get 4 out of 4. Next one. Next one, they ask, explain how the decisions affected the risk and gearing of the company. What is risk and gearing? Oh, it's debt, equity and ROTCE. You must not even think about it. Ne? It must come. Now they say, quote 2 indicators with figures. Can you see it's 6 marks? But can you see here also they said explain. So I'm literally going to name, shame and comment. So I would do it like this. If I go look at my ratios, I'm going to look first of all for my debt equity. There it is. I'm going to say, can you see they someone put them together there? So I say, the debt equity ratio, because you have to name it. Ne? What happened? It decreased. Decreased from not. I don't have to say from, remember? I just say to 0.221. The company is low geared or low risk. Right? Now I'm going to go to the next one, and the return on average shareholders' equity, you can abbreviate, but please abbreviate it right. It's ROTCE. People pronounce it different. They will say ROTCE and whatever. Doesn't matter how you say it in your head. Just have this right. Return on the capital employed. Have that right. Yes.
Use the total.
Huh?
Use the total.
I don't understand what you're asking.
Return on total.
Yes. It has to be, it's not total. It's average capital employed. You guys, the T does not stand for total capital employed. Remember, what is it? Average. Average capital employed. The T stands for the capital employed. Okay. Don't know why they don't say it here, and the abbreviation is like that. Just take it like that, but it's not total capital employed. Okay. Now, ROTCE, ne? What happened to ROTCE? Always remember it's the long one, ne? The return on capital employed, the ones who are working for me. It increased to 24%. Increased to 24%. Right? Now, what's the interest on loan? Do they give me interest on loan? Yes, 12%. This is higher than 12% interest on loan. Company is positively geared because they don't pay, the interest they pay is less than the return they get. Okay? Let's go see if my answer made any sense on the memo. Can you see I named? So according to me, okay, let's go look at the memo. Not according to me. Let's go look at the memo. Can you see here? The debt equity ratio, the word gets a mark. The ROTCE, can you see? This is how they abbreviate it. I'm not making it up. Gets a mark. Increased, decreased or improved to 0.221. That's a mark. Increased to 24%. That's a mark. If I go back here, can you see without comments you already got 4 out of 6? Okay? Because that's what we wrote. So now let's see. Company is low financial risk. Low gearing they will also mark. That's right. Company is positive gearing. Can you see? I wrote the whole sentence. But they are just going to look for positive gearing. Why do I write the whole sentence? Because I want you to get used to writing the whole sentence for if, because sometimes this will count out of 8. So if it counts out of 8, I would have to write an extra sentence here with the debt equity. And what would be my extra sentence? It would literally be the company makes use of more own capital than foreign capital, borrowed capital. Anything like that. Okay. We shop with this. Can you see this one? You have to get full marks. Yes, baby.
I don't understand why we say this is higher than 12% interest on loan.
Okay, so when I make the whole idea of the ROTCE is I made a loan, I being the company made a loan. Now the company wants to evaluate if it was worth making the loan, if the loan contributed to them performing better. Okay? Now the way they do it is they want to see when they add, so can you see this ratio? If I compare the ROTCE with the ROSHI, the ROTCE is net profit before tax and interest. Why? Because they want to see what the loan made for me or helped me make. Ne? Over half she plus loan plus she plus loan. So now they want to see what is that return. And that return, they want that return to be more than the interest I pay to have the loan. Because if the return is less than the interest I'm paying, I'm not scoring, I'm going backwards. Does that make sense? Okay. Can you see how strong I am not to try and explain it again? See, is everybody sharp with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, there we go. Question 3 goes on. And they will always love, with ratios, to put in majority shareholding as well, just by the way. Okay, so now let's look. 3.5. Grant Waters. So who's Grant Waters? He's a shareholder. His percentage shareholding, rights issue and shares repurchased. Can you see they tell you what this is about? So immediately you're going to put in your head here. You're going to put majority shareholding. I'm somewhere abbreviating it like this. Please don't abbreviate it like this in a test. The majority thing, right? And when they talk shares repurchased, immediately I go in my head, oh, repurchase price. I'm going to compare it with the NAV and I'm going to compare it to the market price. Can you see how this works? You immediately go into a category and you pull the information you need. You don't jump into another category. Okay. So, calculate the number of shares that Grant bought through the rights issue on 31st October. What is this rights issue thing? Let's go look. Information. Okay, do they say where? They say refer to information B. Where am I? 10, 11. Yeah, here it is. Thank goodness. I always think we must work in teams though. So, here we go. They say shareholder capital. So 3 million is in issue. Grant. He is a majority shareholder. Now remember, there's two ways to determine if someone is a majority shareholder. It's either 51%, nay, or 50% plus 1 share. Remember that companies can, in their MOI, say that shareholders are not allowed to buy less than 100 shares, ne? Or less than 50 shares. Would it then be plus 1? No, it would then be the minimum shares a shareholder is allowed to buy. So let's say they say you have to buy it in batches of 50, then it would be 50% plus 50. Does that make sense to you? But the 51% still stays. Okay, so by looking at that, which one is the easiest to always maintain? The 51%. Okay, but you will see that the memos will always make provision for both methods. What is important though is the GARP principle consistency, right? So if your company works on majority shareholding as 51%, next year it must also be 51%. He can't then suddenly go back and say 50 plus 1. Okay, so it's about the consistency. So now, they are talking about the rights issue name. So now, they say here he owned 1620. Okay, now, on 31st October, each shareholder was offered 10 shares for every 50 shares they owned. You see what's happening here? So now, if you have 50 shares, you can buy, you're allowed to buy 10 extra shares at a reduced price. Right? Can you see? The company wants to, basically you must know that you slap and then you, with one slap you kill 2 birds or what, 2 stones or what, you must know that one. So this is what the company is doing here. They need capital. They need capital, right? So they want to issue shares. That's the one bird that they are killing. But by doing this, they are also keeping their shareholders happy. You see? Because now I'm an existing shareholder. So now I'm being treated differently than shareholders who still want to come in, or potential investors who still want to come in. I'm being treated with a little bit more respect here. Okay, so that's a good thing. So, all shareholders exercise this right. no other shares were issued or repurchased during this year. Okay? So now they ask you here, I'm not a good page turner. Here's Grant, sorry. Calculate the number of shares Grant bought with the rights issue. Can you see how easy this is? You have to, in your head, already see the answer. Because what's happening here? He owns, they told you, he owns 1620 million. So now, for every 50 shares, he can buy 10. Duh, UK method. Let's see. Am I wrong? Am I right? Let's pray I'm right, otherwise we all go home. We divide it by 50. He buys 10, so he buys 3424. I want you to see the new way they are marking. Can you see the 10 didn't get a mark? Can you see that? But they give you your principal mark if you times with 10. In the old way of marking, they would have given you a tick there for the 10 and a principal if partly correct. So they changed it. So you will see what's happening now, and that's why you struggle to finish, is that your mark allocation is now becoming less. Ne? Meaning they ask more things. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to work on your speed. Okay. So always start with the things you work fast in. And in my head, I'm thinking start question 2, then 3, then 1, then 4. If you're a business study kid and you are good with the theory and you're quite updated, you will see question 4. They will always ask you stuff that you've never heard before, unless you read a lot, or you have business maybe, or you have economics maybe. But it's not necessarily stuff that, it's definitely not stuff that we tell you in class. Okay, so if you quickly scan through that theory and you are someone that's good in theory, you answer that one first. Otherwise you leave it, because that's usually the one everybody got wrong. Okay, so let's go on. Next one. I'm talking a lot, ne? Am I not talking a lot? It feels like I'm never stopping. Okay, so we've got 3 marks there. Calculate Grant's percentage shareholding after the rights issue. Now, do you remember here? 3 million shares were in issue. Okay, so if I take that 3 million shares and I divide it by 50 times 10, how many new shares were issued?
324,000.
324,000.
Yes.
324,000. So you agree with me, I need to add that to the 3 million.
No.
Yeah? Why not?
Isn't it shares alone?
Listen to me. Before the rights of issue, let's go like this. Before the rights of issue, Grant owned 1620 and there were 3 million shares in issue. You agree with me? But now after Grant bought an extra, how many did we calculate? The 324. Let's quickly go back. The 324. Okay, I'm not listening to Otta Betswe anymore. So he bought 324,000. So now he's got what? 1942 million shares. Now, that 3 million, there's extra shares issued most now. So it's no longer 3 million. How many shares were issued? 3 million divided 50 shares. Does that give you 600,000? 60,000. Times 10 shares? 600,000. So now it's 3.6 million. You see, this is before, this is after. Is everybody with me? Okay, now times 100. What's his percentage shareholding now? Can you see? I don't know where they got that from, but here's the one we did. Okay. That's okay. Shopananas, let's go on. So, oh, sorry, what's his shareholding now? 54%. So this guy is still, can you see on this thing? Okay, you are blind as a rat, my baby. Okay. So, now, that 54% means he is still majority shareholding. And it actually makes sense. Because every shareholder could buy the same extra, in proportion, the same amount. So in proportion, everybody's shareholding increased. So obviously, he's going to still be a majority shareholder. Okay, why am I doing that? So, next question. So now I've got 5 marks there. Except if you Otabetswe because he got the 3.6. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. It's so funny. My grade 11s the other day, they said to Gugu, because Gugu always sits here, and you must know Gugu never stops talking. So then they say, Gugu, you must please be quiet. You all over Mam's videos. Because he sits here. So he's talking the whole time. Oh, that was funny. Come on. And I recorded it that you can relive through it. Let's go. Calculate the total amount that Grant spent on the shares he acquired through the rights issue. Please, can I speak alone? So now, this is a calculation. He bought 324. So, if you transferred what you got in this first dot, if you transferred that, they'll give you a bagel most probably. Now I want to see, what was the issue price? Did they tell you the issue price? They did not tell me the issue price. Can you see that? So, if I think about it, it's opening, issue, closing. You agree with me? Okay. How will I calculate? I'm trying to think here, so if you have an idea, work with me, ne? Work with me.
Could you say the closing ordinary share capital divided by the number of shares, which is the 3.6?
That is what I was also thinking. But I'm thinking more. So you're definitely going to somewhere use the calculation of the rand value divided by the shares. So for me, I am thinking rather to do the total. I'm going to say only the 600,000 shares that were in issue. So I'm going to say, okay, but do we have the closing? Okay, so if I look opening, issue, closing, I can see the opening. The closing is 31. Oh, sorry, I can't see. 31,770. And the opening is 28,800. So I want to know how much was the issue. I'm not going to work on the average price because the average price includes the opening. And if you look there, they say they offered it at a reduced price. Okay, so I'm going to get the difference. What's the difference of my issue? How much was issued? 600,000, ne? But what was the rand value of that which was issued? Because then I want to divide that. Okay, And that gives me what?
2,975,000.
2,975.
No, 70.
70. Okay? Can I ask that we stop talking? So if I take the 2,970 million divided by 600, I get the price that I issued, I being the company, issued these shares at. And what's the price? 5.9.
4.95.
4.95. And please, if it says 4.956723219, ne? And you write 4.95, you clean your calculator and you press in 4.95. Otherwise, your calculator continues on all those decimals. Ne? And then if the marker goes and check your answer, it's not going to be the same as what you are writing your answer should be. Okay. And how many shares did this guy buy? 324. So this will give me his total. Can you see? There they did it like this. So the 324, you had to go, can you see above? So if you transfer that one here, you get your principal mark. Can you see the 2,970? Now you know where did I get the 2,970 from. Make a note for yourself that you don't just think, oh, but I do have the memo, I can just look at the memo. Because the memo does not tell you how you got that 2,970. Right? So the 2,970 divided 600 gives me 495. Now you can see it's one accuracy and one principle. And that principle, look, the method mark is only if you show the calculations. And I can see either one is right. Either the 2,970 or the 600. And obviously you'll have the 600 right. And most probably they would tell the markers to go back and see if you got 600 extra there. Then they'll give you the bagel there. Okay. So, he paid 1.6 million. So, next question. So, people good in calculations, you should get this also. But now you had it wrong, eh? Because you used the average at the end. So, what are you going to lose? If I use the average at the end, so can you see you will get the 324, ne? This he's going to have wrong, but he'll have the bagel. So you have 2 out of 4, which is not too shabby. Okay. Grant intends to convince the board of directors to repurchase shares from him. Why would he just buy 300,000 shares and now he wants them to buy it back? Maybe he chew off more than he could actually eat, ne? He bite more than he can chew. You can see I don't teach English. Okay, so let's go. He tries to convince them to repurchase shares at 12 Rand. Hey, what did he just pay for that shares? 4.95? Okay. Explain why the other board members would probably vote against this transaction. Okay, now with question 3, you do not answer without figures. Unless it's really impossible because they didn't give any figures. Okay, so now they say, provide 2 points with figures. Okay, so what's the first point you got? You just said it. He wants 12 Rand, but he just paid 4.95. Really, dude? What else? What is the market price at this stage? Remember, what did I say to you? Whenever you see shares repurchase, you're going to take into account the market price and the NAV. Okay, so he wants to repurchase at 12 Rand, ne? But he just bought it at 4.95. Not all of it, but I mean He doesn't. They don't tell me how many he wants to sell again. Have us buy back. But I mean, he just bought 600,000 at way lower. So now let's quickly go look. Let the teacher stop talking and quickly go look. What is the market price in the NAV? The market price is 950. What is the NAV? Net asset value 564. So how I would answer it is I'm going to cover all my bases. Don't think now, oh, I've got 3 things, I'm only going to write down 2. Write down all 3, because in accounting they mark different than business. Remember, in business they mark the first 4 that you write. And if you wrote 6, they ignore the other 2. In accounting they don't. We have to go through all 70 that you write. Okay, so that's good. So you've got 3 things in your head, go write down 3. Because then, you know, if you aim for the moon, shoot for the stars. So you're going to firstly say, he just bought shares at 495, which is lower than 12, he asks for repurchase. Okay? So that's the one. And I actually think the other one you can write as 1 point, even though it's 2. They will mark it as 2. But you compare once off, it makes your writing shorter. So you're going to say, the repurchase price, remember you must always name before you shame, of 12 Rand is higher, or you can just say, if you struggle to spell higher, more than the market price of 9 Rand 50 and the NAV of 564. Please remember that you have your units the same. So if you use the 950 cents, and the 564 cents, that 12 Rand is 1,200 cents. Okay, don't compare rands with cents. You make all your units the same. Let's see how much marks I would get. So they say here, why does this thing keep on jumping up? So look there. The repurchase price of 12 Rand exceeds the market value of 950. Right? The repurchase price of 12 Rand exceeds the NAV of. Can you see? Any 2 valid points and figures. So yes, we wrote it in 1 sentence. But can you see we compared the repurchase price with the market value? The repurchase price with the NAV. Okay? And can you see I totally missed it with the other one? It's not even there. The 495. It's not even there. Even though it makes sense to me. So can you see, if you decided, oh, I'm going to take the market price and that one, you would have only gotten 2 out of 4. You see? Here they talk about he's taking advantage of his status as majority shareholder. Because why? What can a majority shareholder do? He can vote this in. Ne? Unless in their MOI they have some or other provision that says, so most companies what they do is they will say the majority vote counts, but they also look that the remaining shareholders also gave a majority vote. You get what I'm saying?
This other one that says majority vote counts only if 75% of total votes votes with it.
Okay, so did you hear what he said? He said the majority vote only counts if 75% of the other votes,
Of the total vote
of the total votes,
is voting with it.
votes with the majority. Okay, so in other words, this guy can't win, but that is not necessarily in the MOI. It will depend from company to company. But it would be very stupid not to put that in, because then it gives that person a really, really good advantage. And I think people will do that if they are the originators. They started this company and they actually still want control. Then they won't put that rule in there. But can you see, I said to you, it has to have figures. What figures did they show me here? The 54%. That's a figure. It's not a word. Okay. Okay, let's do the last one here. The last one says, and here comes in for the theory, guys. There's a 4 points for you, 4 marks for you. Explain 2 characteristics that shareholders would expect of a good CEO. Chief Executive Officer, the guy in charge. I would say integrity. That's what I would say. I would want someone who puts the company's interest above his own. I would want someone who's transparent. Can you see I'm going through the King Code Stardiff and also the statutory things. I would have someone that is honest, that would not do things that harms the public image of the company, like allowing things to be thrown in rivers where people drink water and those things kill the kids of the people, Okay, so you can go look at the memo there. Next one. Apart from the factors and financial indicators covered in the previous questions, you guys, can you read there? Apart from what we've already used. So you are not allowed to use ratios you've already used. Explain 2 other points indicating that the company is well managed by the CEO. So now I can literally go here. I'm not going to do markup because that was a decision. And the markup, I can't see if it was well managed. If I don't have the net profit or the gross profit after this decision was made, because I want the gross profit to increase. Because if it decreases, because what happens a lot of times, if stuff becomes more expensive, people start buying less. And then in the end, what you thought was going to give you more profit gave you less profit. So I'm not going to quote that one. I'm not going to quote any of these ones. Ooh, solvency. There's a good one to quote. So it's literally, you're going to say, solvency, 1 tick, increase to 3.821, 1 tick. Current ratio, we never said that. The current ratio improved. Current ratio improved from 2.5. Can you see? You can do the acid test. I'm going to leave dividends because we did dividends, we did earnings. Oh, return on shareholders' equity. Did we write that anywhere? No. So can you see, you can do that one. You guys see? So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 options. Choose 2. With this, if you're not sure, add an extra one. But with ratios, they will sometimes say, if you say this one, you can't get full marks. So in other words, I can't just go and quote 5 of this and the marker has to choose 3. With naming the ratios, it's different. I'm now talking, remember what I said with the marking, all of the 70 points you wrote down is with comments, not with quoting. Okay, quoting, they want to see that you know which to put in. So the moment you put in, for instance, something that's, I don't know, something that's not a good thing, let's say the net asset value went down or something, then you'll lose, you won't get full marks. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's just make sure that I'm not lying. Can you see there? Solvency ratio, 1 tick. The financial indicator, 1 tick. The explanation, 1 tick. But the explanation is literally that quoting. It improved to this. Or it increased to this. That's it. Okay. So that's 24.